Spirituality is about all those four things that you've talked about. Can somebody who is atheist or agnostic engage in spirituality?
Yeah, okay. So this is, again, an incredible insight or contribution from the Vedic tradition, which I found on this. So yes, if you think about those four areas that I spoke about, those four areas would apply to anybody from any background, and including agnostics or atheists. What's also interesting is when the Gita is speaking, so the Gita has 5 topics. Now, 4 of them are quite obvious, but the 5th one blew my mind when I heard about it, and that's time. And I thought, when I first heard that, I thought, why is time the 5th topic of the Gita? And great minds have caught onto this, like Oppenheimer when he saw the first atomic explosion, and he quoted that verse from the Gita, which actually Krishna, he uses the word death, but Krishna uses the word time. Time, I am the destroyer of worlds. That from an atheistic, agnostic perspective, the Vedic texts say Krishna's manifestation as time is the thing that they are engaging with. They also talk about a conceptual form of God, which is imaginary, it's conceptual, but that atheists and agnostics and physicalists more generally would connect with, and that is what we call the cosmic or the Virat Roop that Arjuna asks to see Krishna to show on the battlefield. And this is the trees are Krishna, are the hairs on Krishna's body, the rivers are his veins, etc. That whole description there. This idea of the natural world, almost a pantheistic idea, that the natural world is essentially the embodiment of the divine's body. So there are various ways, these two stand out for me very strongly, of how agnostics and atheists do engage and can engage with the spiritual journey.
It seems to me you're saying the Vedic texts make it possible for anyone and everyone to engage with the supreme reality in whichever way they want, basically.
Yeah, and there is the Gita is fundamentally a book on yoga.
Yeah.
It's not understood in that way, but if you look at the different types of yoga that Krishna describes, there's something which commentators have described as what's called the yoga ladder. So in the book, I kind of have an illustration which shows the yoga ladder in conceptually. So the idea is that, yeah, exactly as you said, wherever we are, wherever we find ourselves, how to connect our consciousness with something bigger. How do we connect with that sense of an ultimate reality? And wherever we are, whatever kind of stage or no stage we are in spiritual life, that there's an opportunity to do that.
I'm really sorry for the person who has a mic. I have one more small question. What's the point in that? What's the point of engaging in any spirituality? Why not live a hedonistic life? Enjoy my life.
Enjoy my life, yeah. Yeah. So look, I mean, it's true. And we've been trying for thousands of years to enjoy our lives, and we haven't figured it out. And this is what the Vedic text is saying. I mean, if you look at Krishna's explanation in the Gita of what are called the gunas, the 3 modes of material nature, these gunas, Krishna describes the various types of happiness that come from these gunas. Now, actually, the first book, The Dharma of Capitalism, is about the gunas, because it is, I've done strategy consultancy, I've done an MBA, I've done all that stuff, and I can tell you, hand on heart, without a shadow of a doubt, the gunas is the most powerful framework I've ever come across. It is unbelievable in its universal application, in its adaptability and flexibility. And what it talks about is, how do you get to happiness?
Yeah.
Now, right now, just in the last 10 years, we've learned so much from neuroscience about the science of happiness and how it links with a chemical called dopamine. So from a superficial level, we now understand in a way that I never understood when I was at university, because we didn't know it then, but we now understand the dopamine cycle. And we understand that the way to happiness is not chasing it. Now, this was understood by philosophers a long time ago, but how do we access it is what Krishna describes through the gunas. So it's true, we all want to be happy. And we assume that the hedonistic treadmill is the way to get to happiness. But academic study after academic study, and I'm ignoring all the scriptural texts, just the academic science is telling us hedonistic treadmill is not the way to happiness. It's just as simple as that. So, yeah, that's our natural default position. That's why in the yoga ladder, it's at the bottom of the yoga ladder, because that's what animals do. They live instinctively. They just have a stimulus and they respond. There's no gap, right? If you have an animal, there's no gap. You provide a stimulus, the animal's going to respond. That's how most human beings are living. We get a stimulus, we respond. We see something we like, we chase it. All of that stuff. So there's no gap, which is what Viktor Frankl talks about, that how free will resides in the gap between stimulus and response. It's a very profound point. And though the Gita said it thousands of years before Viktor Frankl, but the idea is that, yeah, sure, we all agree, we all want to be happy. The question really is, what is going to get you there?
Thank you so much.